Hello, hello. Welcome to this episode of Beyond the Pills. I'm Josh Rimini, pharmacist turned healer. And today we're diving into a powerful tool for emotional and physical well-being, EFT tapping. And with a true expert in the field, I'm thrilled to be joined today with our guest, Ruthi Cohen-Joyner, who's a certified integrative wellness coach and advanced EFT tapping practitioner. Ruthi is committed to cultivating inner peace and radiating love and compassion into the world. Through EFT tapping, meditation, and integrative coaching, she guides others in calming their nervous systems, fostering self-care, and creating emotional, spiritual, and energetic and physical well-being. As inner peace grows, it naturally ripples outwards, bringing more harmony, connection, and healing to the world. So if you're ready to learn more about Beyond the Pills ways to overwhelm and emotional blocks and stepping into a more empowered, vibrant version of yourself, well, this conversation is for you. So let's welcome Ruthi to the show. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Josh. I'm glad to be
So
here.
glad to have you. I'm so
Thank
glad
you.
that we were able to connect in the ways we did because what you're doing is really powerful stuff in this world, and especially as it relates to the world of healing and transformation, which is where I love to be. So have this sort of unique approach to wellness. Can you share a little bit about your journey and what led you to become an integrative wellness coach in this EFT tapping thing? We'll get into what the tapping is, but I want people to understand a little bit of your story first.
Yeah. Thank you, Josh. Well, I started out like you, very traditional. My undergrad degree in nutrition is from UNC Greensboro, and then my master's in public health nutrition is from Chapel Hill. And I was a registered dietitian for 37 years, to be exact. And along the way, I just learned that for a lot of us, eating and making choices about food and exercise, etc., is much more complicated than knowing what's good for you or not what's good for you. That my personal issue, I guess I would say, is emotional eating. When my father passed away unexpectedly in 1990, I ate my way through the grief. And I see that as a gift now, and that it led me into learning more about emotional eating, which eventually led me to EFT, or emotional freedom techniques. So I'm giving you the full name. We shorten it to EFT tapping, but when you hear this is about emotional freedom, it has a lot more meaning than just EFT. So, emotional freedom techniques is pretty much where I have focused since 2012, and going deeper into it, becoming a certified health coach just last year. So, adding some new skills to what I was doing with EFT. And then an offshoot of EFT called matrix reimprinting is something else I really love. And maybe we'll get into that later. We'll see.
I love it. You already dived into a few components that I love talking about, and a lot of what we say around here is like the things, like we all know how to eat right and exercise. We know what good food is. We know like good healthy habits. And yes, it's so much more complex than the what, because when you
Yeah.
get down to it, how do you make meaningful change? How do you understand this emotional side? Because yes, the relationship we have with food is all stemmed around our emotional imprints and how we've been programmed in our ways. And so I love that you through your own experience. We talk about it almost on every single episode, that we have our personal journey
Yes.
that's attached to why we help others. And so you dove right into that. And looking at this emotional freedom, like just saying that makes it resonates, right? There's a
Right.
freedom to that, because I think we sometimes feel locked in our emotional patterns and how our state of being is. And so um what got you into, let's roll right into the let's call it the EFT tapping, or the
Okay.
emotional freedom. um so for listeners that are new to that, what exactly is EFT tapping, and how does it work on both emotional and physiological levels?
That's a big question, Josh. So EFT, again, I said it stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques, and that's plural. Sometimes you'll see it just singular technique, but the reality is there's many different techniques to it. Is where we do something that looks a little silly. So I'll admit, when I first saw it, I was like, you got to be kidding me that this does something for you. But you literally tap on meridian endpoints on the body and on the face, and this has been proven to lower your cortisol level or your stress hormone. And who's not stressed these days, right? So, in lowering your stress hormone, we get what we call the 3 C's of tapping, which is calm, clear, and create. So, we're able to calm the nervous system. So important these days, right? I mean, we have our own personal lives and then what's going on in the world. There's just so much stress in the world. So, learning to deal with stress, to calm your nervous system, to regulate your nervous system is huge. And EFT is one of the best modalities, I guess, that I have found for calming the nervous system. So when I work with people privately, we talk about some other things. Breathing, obviously, is a quick one that you can take 3 conscious breaths and calm yourself a little bit. Orienting is another one, which is just noticing your surroundings. So sight,
Mhm.
sound, etc. But with tapping, you're going deeper. So back to these 3 C's. You calm the nervous system, you clear whatever it is you want to clear. So it can be stress, anxiety, worry, cravings for chocolate chip cookies. It can be pain, physical and emotional pain. It's actually, what is the word? Approved by the Veterans Administration for veterans to work with PTSD. And it is used in a lot of different places, at different ways. For instance, there's a program called Tapping in the Classroom. So it's being brought into schools to help children learn to regulate their nervous systems. It's being used in many different ways these days. And when I first got into it in 2012, nobody had heard of it. I mean, it was just not in the mainstream at all. Today, you can go to YouTube and you can put in celebrities who use EFT tapping, and there's a video of all the celebrities that use this on a regular basis. For example, Whoopi Goldberg healed her fear of flying with EFT. So there's a lot of younger ones, but I don't know all of them. Anyway,
No, it's all good because you know, I there's a lot of things going on in this world, but that's good because we're starting to understand this. Like, I love that you brought in the science of it. Like, we're actually moving from the stress response system into the sympathetic, into the parasympathetic space. Rest and digest, right?
yes,
Calm, clear, create is when we're in that parasympathetic tone, and you're using these acupressure meridians that are
yes,
all connected to the vagus nerve and moving the system down. So if you want to get
yes,
geeky on the science, these are quick ways in order for us to tap into the regulatory physical component that's actually moving into the emotional and energetics of it by just doing simple, easy techniques, but in a targeted and systematic way. So it's not like we're
yes,
just tapping everywhere. It's just kind of like if you've ever done acupuncture, right? They're going in certain places to do certain things at certain times. So I love
right.
that you brought that up. How in the heck did it find you? That's what I want to know. Like how did you, because when I have all these conversations with people of like, I've been doing this for 30 years and nobody even knew what I was talking about when functional medicine was out there or whatever the thing is right. It's like, I was at the table when, right? Well, this found you. So
Yeah.
how did it find you? How did EFT find you? I love this
Well,
story because this is how people connect. We connect through our story.
yeah, well, it was 2009, actually. 2009, I was playing on the internet and I found Joseph Mercola's website, who
Yep.
is big name, and looking at the functional medicine stuff, looking at the nutrition stuff, and EFT was on his website. And that's where I first experienced it, first played with it, and my first reaction was this was ridiculous. I have to admit that this tapping on your body, your face, I was like, how in the world does that help with anything? Um, I'm going to fast forward to 2011 when I found the Tapping World Summit, which a group called the Tapping Solution, which is actually a family, Nick Ortner, Jessica Ortner, and Alex Ortner, two brothers and a sister, started the Tapping Solution. And they do this World Summit every February. And so it was the 2011 Tapping World Summit where I was actually doing this with experts that I started having significant shifts and changes. And I was like, whoa, there really is something to this. And so I found a trainer here in the Charlotte, North Carolina area who's somebody who's not training now, but anyway. And so I actually did the training with her in 2012. But I found it by accident, or maybe by accident, right? On the internet in 2009, but it was 3 years before I was actually, well, I'll say 2 years, because 2011, I started using it for myself, started learning about it for myself, going to YouTube and finding videos, etc. But once I trained in it, I really got hooked. And it's a little embarrassing to tell you how many trainings I've done in EFT. It's well into the double digits. I'll just put it that way.
Well, that's the thing. You can when something strikes you, like I don't believe there's any accidents in this world. It's like, but we also don't know the divine timing of when those things unfold, right? Just searching the internet and going onto some site because Mercola's been out for a while, so there's some authority into that, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, let me see if that thing does, and then all of a sudden one little thing happened to become your thing. And over the last 10 to 15 years, you're like, this is where I need to be. And it's like 100% of the time, which is so validating to all this stuff, is like we use it on ourselves. We see a great result through experience, not through this whole intellectual, I'm reading about it, right? That part's
Right.
fine, but it's working it through your experience that says, oh, like you said, is like, oh, this feels weird, I don't know. And then all of a sudden it's like there was some point that clicked. You had that aha, is like, there is something to this here. Let me explore this further. That's
Yeah.
how lifestyle change works. That's how transformation works, right? It's not getting to the end result. It's like going to that next step and saying, being curious. I'd like to put that into the C's, right? Being curious
Yeah.
and saying, all right, maybe this is something. And then all of a sudden just allowing it to unfold and moving it into that space. So we're gonna do a live demonstration because you told me, like, I'm not going on unless we can we can show the
Yeah.
listeners how this thing works, because this is a perfect example of that and what we can be doing. But before we get into that, can you share a couple? Do you have any stories of transformation or things where somebody came to you with this? You did a few things here, and then their outcome was why. I want people to understand, like, the practical applications of what this is, because sometimes we bundle the word stress and it becomes like a numbing word to us. Like, we all know we're stressed. 70% of us are in fight or flight most of the time, right? We're not in rest and digest. What I love telling people, though, is you're in one or the other. You can't be in both.
Yeah.
You're either in a restful parasympathetic state where you can digest and clear your mind and detoxify and heal, or you're in fight or flight. And the body doesn't know if you're running from a tiger or if you're stuck in traffic. It's the same
Right.
mechanism. 1,400 chemical reactions in less than a second happen. So we know we're in the stressful world. We know that we're anxiety. We know we have all these things, but give us I just want to know a little bit of, like, what's the practicality of what you're talking about here? Like, going from here to here, is it in the acute moment? Are we doing this? I kind of know the answer, but, like, I want you to say, like, are we doing this so we can get out of the state, or are we doing this to shift a new reset?
Okay. So you've asked me several things at once. I'm going to back up for a moment. You mentioned,
Unpack it for me. I'm going to
okay.
throw it out there and then see what
Okay.
sticks.
Well, you mentioned curiosity, and one of my favorite things. So, when we're tapping around these points, we say phrases, and we start with what we call truth telling, which is we start with, I'm so stressed, or I'm so angry, or I'm so hurt, or my back's hurting, or, whatever. We start with the truth, and then we work toward where we want to go. And so one of the things I like to say when I'm doing the tapping is I'm choosing to be curious and kind with myself, because a lot of times we judge ourselves, right? We're very hard on ourselves. We have that
Mm-hmm.
inner critic that's alive and well in our heads all the time. So learning to calm that voice so that we're able to calm ourselves is a huge thing. But before we get into getting to demos, and I'll give you an example, I do have some statistics pull up that I want to share. And going back to the cortisol level, the stress hormone. So the original study, I believe, was done around 2012, 2013, and then it was replicated in 2019, if I have my years right, where they showed that the cortisol level with tapping drops by about 37%. So a huge shift in cortisol. I'm going to give you some other statistics. These were compiled by Peta Stapleton, and she is an EFT trainer and a psychologist at Bond University in um, Queensland, Australia. So these are just some statistics that have been compiled. So one is it is proven to lower pain by 57%. It is proven to lower anxiety by 40%. Depression decreased by 35%. Now, again, this is a compilation of different studies. So, PTSD symptoms decreased by 32%. Food cravings decreased by 74%. And that's one of Peta Stapleton's main areas that she focuses in. She actually did fMRI studies on the brain where they could look at
Mm-hmm.
how the brain lit up with certain foods before doing tapping and certain foods afterwards. So that's one she's gone more in depth with. Lowers blood pressure by 8%, increases happiness by 31%. And an interesting one, I believe this was compiled around the pandemic, increase in immune system markers by 113%. So when you look at those kind of statistics, it gets your attention. It makes you realize there really is something to this. So you asked me for specifics. So I had a client that I'm going to call Susan, not her real name, who, when she first came to me, she was very anxious, anxiety, generalized anxiety on a regular basis. And I don't remember now if she was on medication at the time or not, but she didn't want to be on medication. She wanted to learn how to deal with it for herself. And so we used a scale of 0 to 10. How anxious are you in this moment? 9, 10. I mean, always it was 8, 9, 10 for her. She didn't function below 8, 9, 10. So we started doing some tapping, and you asked me, I don't remember exactly how you worded it, but when we do EFT, we are working on the daily accumulated stresses. So we are working in the present, but we're also going into the past. We're
Mm-hmm.
also working on where this came from. So it's both. It's both and the future. How do you want to be in the future? So it's a little bit of both. But for her, we worked on the current, today, the present, but we also went into the past and the reasons why she was so anxious in the first place. She was able to get where her normal functioning was around 1 to 3 instead of this 8 to 10 all the time, where it was about 1 to 3 on a regular basis. And she actually decided to go to do EFT training I actually lost touch with her. So I don't know if she ever used it with other people or if she just used it with herself, but she went to a trainer and did training because she found such a significant shift for her. I've also had one client who very low self-esteem, very hard time functioning in the world. And this was actually during the pandemic. And she had gotten so shut down and so into her own home that she hardly left. So it wasn't really that she had, what is that one? What's the phobia where you don't leave your house? I forgot the
I think
name
it's
of it.
agoraphobia. Yeah.
Yeah, agoraphobia. It wasn't really that. It was just that the way she felt about herself, she just didn't really want to go out in the world.
There was no I call it like that drive to motivate, right? It's like you
Yeah.
you get stuck in that space. We all get there, right? And then it
Yes.
gets worse and worse because there's that you go down the roll, right? And so that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. So for her, we were
Like
able to
how
make, oops,
what'd
sorry.
you do with her?
So she's
No, go
actually been
ahead.
a long she's actually been a long-term client. We've worked together for a couple years. Most people, I'll just let you know, it's much shorter term than most therapy, by the way. Usually most people 3 to 6 months is as long as I work with them. But she stayed with me for a couple years, and now she couldn't even imagine being in a relationship. She's been in a relationship now for 8 months or so, feeling so much better, getting out in the world, riding her bike, just doing a lot of things that she just didn't have the confidence, the desire, or whatever to do. But we've worked through so much of her childhood stuff and feeling rejected by her father who left her mom, all kinds of divorces, a big thing, and how people see themselves. Excuse me. So huge shift for her and how she lives her life.
And this was done just through EFT tapping.
Yes. Yeah.
So we're taking, I want people to understand the essence, because what we're really talking about is transforming, right? We're moving from this
Yes.
state of, whether it's anxiety, depression, and it makes good sense, right? If you can get the body out of fight or flight and reduce that cortisol levels, 37% is a big deal, right? We don't have many nutraceuticals that will work like that. We don't have many other techniques. But if you look at reducing the stress levels, moving people into that rest and digest parasympathetic state, and if you get there, 37% of cortisol, like going down, of pain, anxiety, depression, PTSD, food cravings, blood pressure, and yes, immune system. This is why meditators have higher immune systems, right? These are
Yeah.
why we're studying the, I would just say, guys, it's no longer woo. Like, we're doing little simple techniques that have profound results. If you take the percentages that you said, yes, it's one study, and it's not one study, it was grouped, it was peer reviewed, like these are the things that are happening. But if you took these statistics and you say, what drug does all of this, right? If there was a drug that could reduce pain by 57% and anxiety by 40 and depression by 35 and PTSD by 32, reducing food cravings by 74%, who doesn't have a food craving, right? From an emotional perspective, and improve your immune system by 113%. Like, pharma could be marketing this drug for thousands of dollars per pill, because no
Yeah.
drug will hit those statistics. And yet here we are. You go to someone that's to teach it, and then you do these techniques in a simplified way, right? I don't want to overcomplicate it. Simple. This is not invasive. There's no harm being done from the perspective of a side effect of tapping, right?
No.
And you're getting really good results. Like, I'm glad you brought up these statistics, because that's how our right brain approach needs to look at this stuff. Like, it's got to be analytical if it doesn't work this way. But it's like, hey, if I could do this and also not have a complicated, complex side effect profile, like, wow, like, holy moly, we're in a good place. So I I I just love the simplicity of these types of things, where it's got such a good impact and it doesn't take a ton of effort compared to take 5 medications with, plus, you know, you know, how many times a day, how often do people do this? Like, what's the session average? How often do you do this? I want to know these things. I can't.
Yeah, we're breaking up a little bit, so I didn't catch everything you
I know.
said, but I think you were asking how often. Is that right?
Yeah. How, like, do we do? I know we're breaking up here. I have no idea why
Yeah.
my connection is unstable.
Yeah, I was wondering if it was mine or yours, so I apologize if it's mine. Well, I will, it varies. It varies on what you're using it for, what the purpose is. But I will say that Dawson Church, who is a big name in the EFT world, excuse me, you mentioned meditation earlier. He talks about meditation being kind of the baseline of calming your nervous system and all the beautiful things meditation does. I'm also a follower of Joe Dispenza, big name in the meditation world. So but he talks about using meditation as kind of your baseline and then EFT to deal with those daily accumulated stresses. So when I teach people how to do this for themselves, which is what we're going to do in a minute, I use the analogy of your dental health, meaning everybody brushes their teeth at home, or hopefully everybody brushes their teeth at home. Maybe people floss, maybe they don't. We're not going to get into that, but you have your own dental care routine that you do for yourself. And then if you've got pain, you go to a dentist, to have that taken care of. I see EFT the same way, meaning that you use it for yourself on a regular basis. And Steve Wells, who is an EFT practitioner in Australia, talks about energy toning. And that means using tapping just on a regular basis every day just to calm your nervous system. So he talks about he does it when he walks his dog. He talks about his wife does it when she's at stoplights, when she's driving to work. So wherever you can just bring it into your life on a regular basis, just to calm your nervous system is beautiful. But then when you decide to work with the practitioner, it's when you want to do healing work, deeper healing work. So when I'm working with individuals, we're going into childhood trauma. We're going into all kinds of things that need healing work on beyond what you would do for yourself on a daily basis. So it varies on what the purpose is and how much you would do it. But are you
That
interested in
makes good
trying it?
sense. No, I've used the same analogy for meditation versus like a Joe Dispenza retreat, right? And I'm a big fan of
Right.
Dispenza as well.
Yeah.
And that's why we connect, right? They just happen to be like that. Is like I'm learning to use his stuff in corporate settings and teaching people that. But like I say the same thing is like you brush your teeth every day, but every 3 to 6 months or so you need a deep cleaning. And that's why you go to the dentist to do your deep cleaning. Well, I go to Dispenza retreats to do my deep work, right? Like I
Yeah.
go do these things, or I go to Costa Rica and do a plant medicine retreat because I want to do my deep stuff, my deep work techniques to do on some reason. Hear me?
Lost your picture for a minute. Now you're coming back in. I'm just going to check and make sure nobody's on the internet in my house. So,
That's weird. I'm not sure why my internet is low because I'm hardwired into the whole system. So work on it.
hang on one second. I'm just telling everybody to get off the internet in case anybody's on it here.
All right.
So, are you ready to jump into doing some tapping together?
We're back. Something with the internet. I would love to. I always I always teach the do me first principle when I mentor professionals in wellness. So let's dive
Okay.
in.
All right. So,
Treat
I
me
want to
like a
show you.
kid. I treat me like I don't know anything.
Okay. So, first, I want to show you the tapping points, and then we're going to get into actually doing it. So the first point that we'll be using today is the side of the hand. So I'm just going to ask you to start doing this with me. So this is under the pinky finger. We're gently tapping with 3 or 4 fingers. And when we're here, we're going to do what's called a setup phrase or balancing statement. So I'll get into, well, let me explain what that is. That is where we're going to tell the truth, even though I'm so stressed, even though I'm anxious, even though I'm mad at my brother, even though my back's hurting, whatever it is. And then you say something positive. right here and right now I'm okay, or I'm choosing to be curious and kind with myself. So I'll lead you through it. You'll be repeating after me like we're playing Simon Says. Okay? So we're going to do first this side of the
Now, how
hand.
am I here when we're tapping?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
How hard does one tap when they're tapping?
Yeah, just gently tapping. So I have tell
Okay.
people when you're really angry, be careful that you're not banging. You don't want bruises. You don't want to hurt yourself. You just gently tapping. So the next point that I like to use is the eyebrow point. Some people start on the top of the head. I end on the top of the head. I'm telling you that because if you go to YouTube, and by the way, there are hundreds of YouTube channels. Well, I don't know if there's hundreds of different channels, but I have my own EFT channel on YouTube, and there are many more. So there are actually thousands of videos. If you go there, if you see somebody start on the top of the head, fine, doesn't matter. But we're going to take 2 fingers and gently tap between the eyebrow points. And when we do this, we're going to do a reminder phrase. And again, I'm going to lead you through this. Right now, I'm just showing you the points. The next one is the side of the eye, and you're just gently tapping on the bone on the side of the eye. So it's not way back on the temple, it's right on the side of the eye. The next one is under the eye. So those are the 3 eye points. We call it the eyebrow, side of the eye, and under the eye. The next one is under the nose. The next one is called the chin, but it's actually the indentation between the lip and the chin. Our next point, which is my favorite one, let me get up a little higher, is you find your collarbone points, and then you go down about an inch and out about an inch. So you're a little bit closer to the shoulder. Yep, you got it, Josh. And by the way, you can do this one-handed or two. I'm just showing you 2 hands right now. The next point is called the underarm point. So for the ladies, that's down at the bottom of the bra line or where you would wear a heart monitor. So it's about 5 or 6 inches down. Get a little higher. So right in here. And you can do what you're doing, which is called crossbody, or what I'm doing, which is the same side of the body. Either way. And then the last point is the top of the head. So there are some others that people use, but those are the ones we're going to use today. That's 9 points. That's a lot to keep up with, right? So the side of the hand, the 3 around the eye, under the nose, chin, collarbone, under the arm, top of the head. Don't worry, I'm going to say them for you. So
This will
now I
be
want to
fun.
ask.
I think we could do this with like, have you ever done a class with like kids where it's almost like Simon Said being done in like a classroom setting? I'm going to try this with my girls.
Oh, yeah. How old are your girls?
Just turned 9 and the other one will be turning 11.
Okay, yeah, great. As a matter of fact, there is a book. So I mentioned the tapping solution with the Ortners earlier. They wrote several books. There's one just called The Tapping Solution. There's one that's for teenage girls, and I'm not remembering the title right now. I'd have to look over here. I know it's pink. I'd have to find it. But anyway, it's there. Then there's also books for children, younger one. There's one called Gorilla Thumps and it's over here too. I'd have to look it up. But it's cute when you said that, where you kind of sound like a monkey for little
Yeah,
kids.
I just
So
think these
yeah, I
are
had a friend that taught it in kindergarten, taught kindergartners, and that's how she taught it with them. So yeah. Okay, so the points. All right, the next thing I want to ask you is I want you to tell me what you are feeling emotionally right now. So it's a little bit of a challenge when you're doing it demo wise because people aren't always stressed, but stressed, angry, worried, anything that you may have going on. And I'll just use stress if you can't think of anything.
No, this is good. I'm totally vulnerable, right? This is how it works in the day and age. No, we're doing a lot with the shift of our business and a lot of things going on in different ways. I would say a little anxious and frustrated.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you to give me numbers 0 to 10, 10 being the highest, how anxious you feel in this moment when you think about business stuff.
I'm going to say 5.
Okay. And how frustrated you feel in this moment with what's going on.
This morning, very different.
Okay.
I would say, because this stuff lights me up, like I'm probably at let's say at a 6.
Okay. All right. So I like to start with the one that's the higher. So we're going to start with frustration instead of anxious. But a lot of times when you work on one, the other one goes down anyway. So we're going to do one round with that, and then I'm going to ask you another question about it. So I'm just going to ask you to tap with me and repeat after me. Okay. So actually, I want to ask one more wording. I said business stuff. What is the right word? Growing your business. When you say frustrated with, what would you say?
I think it's more around the lines of, it's the not knowing, the evolution. It's just, we're right in the mix. So maybe, evolving the business.
Evolving the business. Okay. The reason I ask is your words are more powerful than mine. So if I say something wrong, like if I say it makes me frustrated and you're like, no, it makes me angry now. If it shifts while we're doing it, tell me, interrupt me, and let's shift it to where you are. Okay. All right. So repeating after me, coming to the side of the hand,
Perfect.
gently tapping. So even though I'm feeling frustrated,
Even
repeat
though I'm
after
feeling
me.
frustrated.
Yep. With everything going on with evolving the business.
With everything going on with evolving the business.
Right here and right now, I'm okay.
Right here and right now, I'm okay.
So even though I'm feeling frustrated and anxious.
Even though I'm feeling frustrated and anxious.
With not knowing where we're going.
With not knowing where we're going.
We're right in the mix.
We're right in the mix.
Right here and right now, I'm okay.
Right here and right now, I'm okay.
So even though I'm feeling frustrated and anxious.
Even though I'm feeling frustrated and anxious.
With everything going on with evolving the business.
With everything going on with evolving the business.
I'm open to the possibility.
I'm open to the possibility.
That I can release and let some of this go.
That I can release and let some of this go.
All right, we're going to switch to the eyebrow point, going to the eyebrow. So frustrated.
I am so frustrated.
Side of the eye. So frustrated with everything going on.
So frustrated with everything going on.
Under the eye. We're right in the mix.
We're right in the mix.
Under the nose. So many unknowns.
So many unknowns.
Chin. We're evolving the business.
We're evolving the business.
And there's some frustration in this.
And there's some frustration in this.
Collarbone. I'm feeling frustrated and anxious.
I'm feeling frustrated and anxious.
Under the arm. And I'm choosing to slow down.
And I'm choosing to slow down.
And just be curious and kind with myself.
And just be curious and kind with myself.
Top of the head. And be open to new possibilities.
And be open to new possibilities.
All right, I'm going to ask you to stop tapping for a moment. Take a sip of whatever you're drinking.
And
I'm going to ask you to tune into your body. Where do you notice that you're carrying frustration and anxiety in your body?
this is my embodiment work I've been working on.
Okay.
The analytical guys in us have a hard time centering in the body.
Yeah,
I'd
a lot of
say
people do.
here. This is
So,
where I know it is. So my no is right here.
so shoulder, and which side is that? I get confused with backwards.
Right shoulder. Right
Right
shoulder.
shoulder. Okay. Now, would you say right shoulder and neck or just shoulder?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right shoulder and neck?
Yep. Shoulder and neck.
Okay. All right. So we're going to do a little more tapping, and then we're going to check back in on how you're doing. So go back to the side of the hand. We're just going to do one time on the side of the hand this time. Excuse me. So even though I'm feeling frustrated and anxious,
Even though I'm feeling frustrated and anxious,
and I'm carrying it in my right shoulder and neck,
and I'm carrying it in my right shoulder and neck,
I'm choosing to release and let go what I can today.
I'm choosing to release and let go what I can today.
All right, go into the eyebrow. I still have this frustration and anxiousness.
I still have this frustration and anxiousness.
Side of the eye, and I'm carrying it in my right shoulder and neck.
And I'm carrying it in my right shoulder and neck.
Under the eye, all this frustration.
All this frustration.
Under the nose, we're right in the mix.
We're right in the mix.
Chin, and I'm carrying it in my body.
And I'm carrying it in my body.
Collarbone, I'm just acknowledging what I'm feeling.
I'm just acknowledging what I'm feeling.
Under the arm, and I'm choosing to be curious and patient with myself.
And I'm choosing to be curious and patient with myself.
Top of the head, and I'm open to releasing and letting this go.
And I'm open to releasing and letting this go.
All right, Josh, I'm going to ask you to stop tapping and just tune back in and notice what you notice. So if you go ahead.
And I feel like I definitely feel like a de-escalation. Like
Okay.
there's this sense of relaxation that I get almost when I've been meditating.
Yes.
Not like in this like, because I wasn't really in a, you know, I wasn't in a really like really crazy energetic space, but it was
Right.
like I'm feeling grounded. I think that might be the word I'm looking for.
All right. What number would you give frustration now?
It's not really top of mind present. Like I'd probably throw it into the 3 range, I think,
Okay.
if I had to put a number on it.
All right. And anxious, 0 to 10. Where is that now?
Yeah, I think I was like at a 5 or a 6. And again, it's probably like 2 or 3.
Okay. And I'm curious, as we were doing the tapping, did any ideas pop into your head? Anything like, oh, well, we could just do so and so, or yeah, that's not really that big a deal. Or yeah, I'm really worried about that. Anything that came to mind while we were tapping? And you don't have to share the specifics. I'm just curious if anything came to you. Oops, I can't hear you for some reason. Can you still hear me? Uh-oh, I'm still not hearing you. Isn't tech wonderful? I have no idea why your sound went out. I think it's the battery in your microphone, maybe? Ah. Did you switch to something else?
Yeah, maybe. Let me
Okay.
switch my mics real quick and
Yeah, I can hear you now. Great.
hold on a second.
Okay.
All right. I think we're back. Been one of those days with internet and mics, apparently. Yeah. So you asked if anything came up for me, and I think the essence of what I was grabbing was what the tapping was doing, especially as I was speaking through that process. For me, it was like, again, I feel like grounding. It was like I was pulling it back into the present moment. Like there was no, like, anxious is fear of the future, right? And
Right.
it's
Yeah.
like frustration is like what's happening or what's happened. It was like everything was fine in the moment, and that it didn't like consciously bring me there, but it felt like none of that was in the area, because I was very focused on just being
Right.
in the present moment without having to be focused on the present moment, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. 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 So far, nothing has popped into your head as far as where to go with the business or anything.
No, just more of a,
Grounded.
yeah, like more of
Yeah.
a, it's, you're fine, dude, kind of feeling.
Yeah. Cool. So I want to go back to the calm, clear, and create. So what we're having is the calm feeling you definitely are experiencing from what you've said: de-escalation, relaxation, grounded, present, and frustrations drop from a 6 to a 3, anxious from 5 to a 2 to a 3. So that's the calming effect of EFT, that cortisol dropping 37% just in those few minutes. And then the clearing, you're not feeling the frustration and anxiousness nearly as much. You're more in the present. So we haven't gotten to the create yet, which is where you get creative, right? It's where the ideas start popping in. So let's do one more round of tapping and just see what happens, okay?
Perfect.
So no promises here. We'll just see. So going back to the side of the hand. So even though I've let go of some frustration and anxiety,
Even though I've let go of some frustration and anxiety,
and I'm feeling more grounded and relaxed,
and I'm feeling more grounded and relaxed,
I'm choosing to open my mind and heart
I'm choosing to open my mind and heart
to new possibilities for my business.
to new possibilities for my business.
All right, we're going to go back to the eyebrow point. I've let go of some frustration and anxiety.
I've let go of some frustration and anxiety,
Side of the eye. And I'm feeling more grounded in the moment.
and I'm feeling more grounded in the moment.
Under the eye. I wonder what some of those beautiful ideas are for my business.
I wonder what some of those beautiful ideas for my business.
Under the nose. I wonder where we're going to go next.
I wonder where we're going to go next.
Chin. I wonder if I can just be in the flow.
I wonder if I could just be in the flow.
Collarbone. I wonder if I can just trust everything's happening the way it's meant to be.
I wonder if I can just trust everything is happening the way it's supposed to be.
Under the arm. I'm choosing to be kind and curious.
I'm choosing to be kind and curious.
Top of the head. And open to new possibilities.
And open to new possibilities.
All right, so I'm going to ask you to close your eyes for a second, put your hands over your heart, and maybe take a deep breath here. And just play with visioning for a moment. Just anything that comes to you for your business. What's next? What's evolving? What feels good? Just play with it for 30 seconds or so. And whether anything comes to you or not, just be open to that possibility of something coming to you. So I'll just ask you how you're doing. Any big ideas pop in? Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't.
Well, it was more of a clarity focus kind of thing. Like I have the plan is set for what we're trying to do, but as soon as I started kind of being curious around like, well, what's in front of it? What can we be doing, you know? And it was kind of like getting that download, not like of the whole process, but of like, oh, that's where you're going to go, Josh. Go settle on your nano emulsions and your compounds and your nutrition that you're doing with the new providers, right? It's like doom. But it wasn't like this conversation I had. It was like almost like a, you know how it is, right? Like you get the thing, and it's just like boom,
Right.
okay. Like instead of having to do the winding of like what am I gonna do, and it wasn't mind. It was more of that intuitive thing that I've been
Bingo.
exploring a lot more lately.
Yeah. Yeah. So that to me is the beauty of EFT, that you literally you calm yourself, you clear whatever, and then you can just think more clearly. Oh, that's all I need to focus on and just trust. Okay.
Love that because I've done something similar in the past where I call it the art of doing nothing, where I'm literally in my
Mhm.
own like not meditative, not contemplative, but like being in that nothing void with like the tapping and the speaking was, I know it's the subconscious in there, but it's like it was so cool to have this other tool in the toolbox and being guided in this simple way to being able to do that. So that was fun. I really enjoyed that. I'll be exploring
Cool.
that a little bit more.
Cool. Yeah, and I will tell you when I work with people or not private clients because we go more in depth, but when, I'm doing a presentation somewhere or whatever, and the biggest question I get is I don't know what to say because I led you through the words, right? And but if you'll notice, I tried to use your words as much as possible. So I tell people to do one of two things. Either just be silent, just tap. Just use these points. If you forget a point, don't worry about it. Just tap and take some breaths. That's the easiest thing to do with it. Or rant and tap. I am so mad. I can't believe my brother said that. Who does he think he is? What, just whatever comes to you. And either one of those will help you kind of get through whatever's blocking you, if you will, where you get to that point of being able to think more clearly. Like you said, just kind of that intuitive hit comes to you when you're able to let go of the mind running and running.
Well,
So,
yeah, and these are beautiful tools because I've spent a good portion of my, growth work of quieting the mind, right, and getting into the heart, and that's part of my life purpose is literally moving from here to here and showing others how to do it. So, what a cool
absolutely.
way to do that today on my own
Yeah.
self, but also understanding, like I said, these are tools in our toolbox that we have. Like what we didn't take more than 5-10 minutes, and
Right.
I don't recall putting a big old credit card down to buy like $500 worth of a device. I love biohacking. I love that stuff,
Yeah.
but it's like
Yeah.
this is, to me it's ancient wisdom meets modern science. That's why I love this
Absolutely.
stuff. And it's simple, right? It's complex on how it works, but you don't need to know, right? You just said just tap
Right.
and vent because you're pulling that out energetically, and at the same time you're teaching the nervous system to regulate. And a lot of what we are doing here, and for the listeners, is we are learning to bring up that depleting, some people would call negative, like emotion, right? We're bringing that up to the surface and then we're allowing it to come out. Like what you said before is letting go. You want to go down to the deep
Yes.
Hawking's books and do all that stuff. But what we're is you can bring it up and let it out. Like we've taught heart math before with like EFT tapping. This is another awesome tool because, but then you try it, right? You try it out, you do a session and you see if it works for you. And if it does, you explore it more. If it
Right.
doesn't resonate with you after you've tried it, and stuck with it for a little while, then we got more tools to think about and look at. So how do people work with you? You have clients you work with. You're obviously close to me, which is cool because we can get together on other things, especially as
Yeah.
we move the wellness center out. But like, how do people get a hold of you? Do you have is it a website? Are you
Yeah.
Instagram?
Yes. So I will say that my big focus these days, Josh, is that the world is crazy, evolving, changing. We don't know what's going to happen day to day, right? And so to me, creating inner peace, which tapping, meditation, time in nature, breath work, all the things. Finding that inner peace, because it's energy, right? It's we spread the energy of inner peace out into the world. We are helping create world peace. To me, that's very important. So the main place where people can find me is on Insight Timer, the meditation app Insight Timer. So I have some
Oh,
meditations
cool.
on Insight Timer, but I do lives every other week. So for those of you on Eastern time, it's Tuesdays at 1 o'clock Eastern. So whatever that is for you, every other week. So the next one, well, I'm not sure when this is going to come out, but there's the next one is May 8th or whatever that first actually, I guess it's the second Tuesday. Anyway, we'll forget the date because I can't remember right now. Anyway, so when on those, they're 30-minute lives. We do tapping and meditating to do this. We calm our own nervous systems and then we spread it out into the world. So don't want to get deep into it, but if you've looked at Lynn McTaggart's work or any but Heart Math, another example of when souls come together and collectively meditate together and spread that energy out into the world, we do make a difference. So
Great.
I feel
Yeah.
like that's really important these days. So I admit I'm still doing individual clients, but my focus is more on the world peace part, that I feel like we need to do what we can to make a difference in the world.
I love that. That's what I've been following with the heart math, coherence, world
Yes.
coherence, and like
Yes.
doing these beautiful. Because I agree, like that's how the big ripples start to affect. So you're every other Tuesday, 1 p.m. Eastern. How do people sign up through that? Through a website or?
No, just download the Insight Timer app.
Oh,
There
so
is
it's
definitely,
all straight
yeah,
up
it's
through
on the
Insight.
Insight
Okay,
Timer app, which there's a free version and then the paid version is $60 a year. So it's still very affordable. The
yeah.
free version, you do get the lives and you get the majority of the meditations. The paid version, you get courses and more in-depth meditations. But there's yoga, there's sound healing, there's all kinds of thing on the Insight Timer app if you haven't ever tried it out.
No,
So I
yeah,
do that.
I think
Yep.
we had another. It was funny. I think I just recently did a recording where someone else was on Insight Timer, so it's kind of fun to like see all these new practitioners like pulling in and how they can do well in the world and do well from it. So thank you so much for that.
Yep. You're
Um,
welcome.
I love this episode because I got to do my own stuff, right? But so thank you for that. But you literally showed people how they can get going without too much, too much complexity. It's just right there. So thank you for giving us that call to action to actually starting and trying it and seeing how you do with it. That's it. That's
Yeah, and
kind
I
of how
will
it works.
say, yeah, I have a YouTube channel too. So on my YouTube channel, there are 30 or 40 or so recordings of tapping. So you can do tapping with me on my YouTube channel. So I think it's Your Tapping Journey with Ruthi Cohen-Joyner. My business name is Your Tapping Journey. That's my website. And I have to admit, I haven't been doing as great a job keeping it up to date lately. So I need to get back into that. So,
Well,
um,
I think people know how to find each other on all the different things. So you're
yeah,
on the YouTube, Your Tapping Journey. You can search for your name. I'm sure you'll find it. That's awesome information because, that's how people are dissecting and disseminating all this information out there. And I love when we can guide them towards the right side of it, right? Not the like, oh, it's out there just so I can get people to follow me and do this and do that. It's like, no, these are true real things you can be doing. So and you're so heart centered from the perspective of doing this for a bigger reason, right? Not just to help one person, but to really help humanity, to help us grow into
yes,
this crazy conscious shift we're in, and to allow us to have the tools to be calm, be clear, and create into the new world
yes.
because we're all in the unknown here. We're working to be able to embrace that unknown, but still that unknown can be pretty whoa.
Yeah, and that's why we have to have ways of dealing with our daily stress, right? Because it's going to happen. We're going to be stressed in today's world. Just look at anything happening in the news. So you got to have ways to take good care of yourself so you can be part of the change you want to see in the world.
That's the mic drop moment right there, guys.
Yeah.
Ruthi, this was awesome. I know we'll be connecting more just because of the localities we're at and how
Yeah.
much we can help serve each other. So this isn't the end. This is just the beginning. But thank you so much for this awesome episode and giving people real tools to do real things that can really help them is all a part of what we're trying to do. So thank you so much.
You are welcome so much, Josh, and I wish you the very best in your evolving business. And I'm excited to see where it's going to go over the next year, 2, 3, 4, whatever.
I'm excited too. I think I just think it's like the world is ready for this next level stuff,
Yes.
and it's been there for a millennia, but now we're bringing it back into a way that's relevant to us in this world. So I love it.
Yep.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Until next time, guys, that's a wrap. Stay well.